Good evening, and thank you for joining us for another edition of Addiction Talk. My guest tonight, such an important story, losing a child to addiction. How does a mother navigate that? And how does a mother navigate that and turn that pain into purpose to help more families who are struggling? And my guest, many of us know her music. She's an icon, but she's also using her voice to raise awareness. Take a listen. Melissa Etheridge is a well known American rock star famous for her confessional lyrics and raspy vocals. She has won numerous awards, including 2 Grammy Awards and a Songwriter of the Year honor. In May 2020, Melissa lost her son Beckett from causes related to opioid addiction. In his memory, she founded the Etheridge Foundation to advance treatment approaches that address the root causes of opioid use disorder and the use of plant medicines. Addiction Talk starts now. And joining us tonight from California is Melissa. Melissa, it is an honor to have you on the show tonight.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here. I do enjoy talking about this and moving the conversation forward.
And many people, we know you for your voice and your iconic, performances and the songs that have impacted so many of us. But what many people may not realize is the struggles that your family went through with your son Beckett. And I want to go back to the very beginning for you. How did Beckett's addiction start?
Well, it's easy to say it started when he broke his ankle, and the doctors prescribed him opioids, prescribed him Vicodin, and then it went from there. But before that, he was also he had trouble. You would call him kind of a troubled youth. He didn't do well in school, although he was very smart. He was kind of that on the edge kind of kid anyway. And he was very he had a hard he when he was happy. It was great. But when he was down, it was really, really down. I'm sure if I'd have had him tested or something, he would have been spectrum or ADHD or whatever, one of those things. But I didn't want to label him. So when he had a great love for snowboarding. He was very, very good at it. He did it for years. And when he was 18, the Aspen snowboard team asked him to come train with them to see if he would, could maybe be on the team. And he was very excited. And he went to Denver, and he was living there, was up in Aspen. He was living there, and he did a big loop, and he landed poorly, and it broke his ankle. He landed on his head. He had a bunch of things go wrong. So he was in a lot of pain. But I think the greatest pain was that he knew he could not snowboard again. His ankle was just really, really shattered. It was bad, and he had trouble walking and had a lot of pain. So when the doctors gave him Vicodin, and then later he runs out of the Vicodin, and they won't give him any more, and now he's hooked, and so he goes to the street, and then it went from that to heroin, then to fentanyl, and then he died.
Wow. When did you realize? Because I know you said growing up, you realized that he may have been struggling some, but you said, I don't want to label him. And then you realize he goes through this
Hmm.
traumatic experience where the dreams he had of becoming, professional
Hmm.
in this sport of snowboarding are dashed. And he's dealing with this pain, not only physically, but emotionally. How long was it before you started to realize that something may have been going on, that he was going beyond just taking the medicine for pain, but maybe using it to medicate himself and continuing on and dealing not only with the physical pain, but the emotional pain?
Yeah, it was soon,
Mm,
because it sort of escalated pretty quickly. And families, it's the hardest thing to do. You love them. We tried bringing him into the home, getting him help. We tried putting him in a program to where he would, but he kept walking out of those. He would get strung out on heroin, and then he would check himself in. He would get himself clean. He never wanted to do the programs because
Mm.
he would always want to at least smoke cannabis to help him deal with life, and that wasn't allowed. So he would get out of there as soon as he sobered, got over it, and it was just in and out and in and out. And the last time he had gotten out, as far as I knew, he was clean. He went back to Colorado. He left Colorado. He would do all, he would mountain bike. He would do some things, and the pandemic hit, and they closed everything, and he was alone.
Oh,
And like it happened so quickly. It was like a phone call on Friday said, "Oh, mom, it's fentanyl," and then I didn't hear anything from him. And Monday, Tuesday, he was dead.
wow. So you really, when you look back on it, you think the pandemic, also the isolation, we know isolation is a trigger for many people to
Mhm.
relapse. Do you feel that the pandemic played a significant role? And maybe if that hadn't happened, or do you think he was already on this trajectory?
It's hard for me. It's hard to know. His own personal, private pain and distress that he was in about all kinds of things. Yeah, his coping systems were very thin, and yeah, the pandemic really added on to that. And then I couldn't get on an airplane and go see him. This was the very beginning. It was just May of the pandemic, and
Mm,
I didn't know what to do because I was like, okay, no, gotta, gotta, I can't go save him. I can't bring him here because if he's using, I'm not gonna bring him in the house with the other kids, and then it's just so hard. You do the best you can, and then sometimes they go.
mhm. So when you look back on that time as a parent, what is it like to go through that? Because I think there are a lot of parents right now
Oh,
who are in this, very similar situation, and they think, "How do I process this?" Because I can tell, Melissa, that you were close. You talked to him even Friday, and
well,
he
yeah,
was open with you,
yeah.
"Mom, I'm struggling. Here's where I am." And a lot of parents think, "How do you deal with this? How do you cope with this?"
It was probably the hardest thing I've done in my life.
Mm,
Um, for years, it was uh, it was very hard on the family, very, very hard on the family. It divided all of us. We didn't know what to do. My wife and I, just our different fears. It's really, really hard on the family. And we just agreed he couldn't. We just laid down lines. If he's using, he can't come into the home. We love you. I helped him find another place. I was always making you know, places available that maybe he could get help or people. And he, you as a mother, you want to save them. You want to think that you can save them. And I'm here to say, yeah, do what you can, do what feels good. But man, we can't give away our own life source, our own well-being to try to save our children and then our adult children. You can't. You can just be there. You can love them, and sometimes they go. And if they do, you can't. You, I mean, I know it's so much guilt and shame, and especially shame. As a public person, everyone has got their opinions on, oh, she's a bad mom because or whatever, this stuff, and you really can't listen to it. You can't take it in. You really got to work on yourself. And if you do have a child or a loved one who's going through this, the best thing you can do is take care of yourself, because
mm,
you can't be any help to them if you yourself are floundering. Like I always tell people, you can't get sick enough to make
mm,
a sick person well.
mm. Wow. When I think about what you said, Melissa, there were so many things to unpack there, but one of the things is setting those boundaries. How did you find the strength? Because you have this desire, as you said, to save your child, and parents
Mhm.
had that, but how did you find the strength to have that boundary to say, "Hey, if you're using, you can't come here." How did you get to that point?
Well, because I have three other children, and two of them were 10 years younger than him, and you just find it. You just make you find it in yourself. I had to just be myself, and with my wife, and just check on the general health of our family. And this is what we can allow. This is what we can otherwise it's just, it was just too, we'd had too many instances in the home of sort of violence, and
Mm.
I just wasn't going to have that. So, we draw the line as you can. So, boy, I'd like to tell you I had an answer for it and I was, the way to do it, but you just do what you can, and it's very hard, and you got to take care of yourself. I mean, I knew I had gone through cancer, 20 years ago, and I just knew that if I didn't take care of myself, I could go back down into a hole of, guilt and regret, and get sick. And I wasn't going to do that. I wasn't going to give up on that. I wasn't going to give up on myself.
Mhm. Well, one thing also, Melissa, that you pointed out is that you still kept the line of communications open.
Oh yeah.
How important was that? Because when I hear you say that he still called you, like you still were checking in and that you still had that open relationship, that he knew you were still there, how important was that for you to keep that line of communication open? And how did you facilitate that?
It was very important. It was mostly texting. He would call uh, sometimes, but mostly texting, and he would talk to me almost every single day, and we
Mhm.
had a wonderful relationship. I mean, we were very close, and I was pretty much, in the end, the only person that would really, was really, connected to him. I had to, again, I think it was because I had done so much work on myself and was able to, stay strong inside myself, and just keep telling him I loved him, and keep
Mhm.
showing that without enabling, without, giving in, without, I didn't know when he would tell me something, it was the truth or not. There's the whole, the shadowy aspect of it. So I just had to kind of just take care of myself and only do as much as I could and be well.
Now, speaking of enabling, I would imagine for someone in your position that has the world to you, I mean, there's nothing probably that you couldn't get access to.
Hmm. Hmm.
How do you deal with that? Because that would be so hard. I know you had set the boundaries, but saying, okay, how do I know if I'm crossing the line? How did you determine even those boundaries in your own mind?
I uh I I gave myself the boundaries of, I would still talk to him, I still love him, and I would make sure he had a roof over his head.
Mhm.
So I did provide housing, in certain places. I couldn't, bear him being on the street, and I because that would be where he was. And so I kept a roof over his head. But that was it. I wasn't going to send him money. I wasn't going to, you know, because I knew exactly where that would, go.
Mhm. And I imagine that would be really difficult when you have a child calling you saying they need money or
Oh yeah.
saying they need that. That, as a parent, has to be a lot. But like you said, doing the inner work on yourself
Hmm.
and being able to have that strength within yourself. How did you do that inner work on yourself? Was it journaling? Did you end up having therapy? Like, how did you get there? Because a lot of people say, yeah, I hear you, but I don't know how to do the work on myself. I don't know how to take care of myself. I feel like I'm unraveling as this is happening to my child.
Yeah, yeah. Well, like I said, I had gone through. I'm 20 years cancer free. I went through breast cancer 20 years ago, and that was a big change in my life, and a real moment for me to go, okay, what's important in my life? I need to stay alive for myself and my children. And I discovered it's sort of a spirituality, an awakening. It wasn't any. I don't follow anything, but it's a understanding of the nature of reality, and how much my own state and my own state of mind has in what happens in my reality, and what is created in front of me. There's many uh, ways to, connect with this sort of spirituality. Uh, there's just numerous, people out there giving this. And it's a path that if you say, okay, look, I'm open, I want to be well, I want to be healthy, and you put that out, and then do your best to stay in as good a state as you can, then it it will get better every day. It's hard to it's okay, it's something that you can't teach, because
Mm,
words don't teach, but it can only be learned. So I would say, if you are in a state and you want and you need something, then find what makes you happy
mm,
and be in that state, and then go from there, because you can't be in a state of misery and find bliss. That's too far of a thing, but you can be in a state of misery and find frustration instead of misery, and maybe
mm,
go from frustration to disappointment, and you can work these things up. And that's what I came to 20 years ago also. And it's a fine line when it comes to addiction. I found plant medicine helped me a lot. I found cannabis was a big help. I don't consider cannabis an addiction. It's certainly a habit. I would,
mhm,
like to do it every day, but I don't have to. It's something that I've found that is healthy for me. Uh, there's lots of different discussions out there about it, but that's a big part of my wellness.
mhm. So when you think about how your cancer journey, and you've kind of said this, kind of prepared you or even equipped you to be able to deal with what I'm sure is one of the most challenging things in your life, as you said, what did you learn through your cancer journey?
Mm.
I know you said the mindset, but was there anything else, like getting your mindset, like how your mindset plays a role in how you process what you're going through with your child? I know you talked about the plant-based medicine, but what else did that cancer journey kind of help you with, if there was anything?
Oh yeah. Well, also that how I feel is going to affect, how I feel emotionally, and inside is going to have a direct effect with my physical well-being. I think uh, I think we don't connect that up enough, that our own stress causes illness,
Mm,
and that joy and happiness is medicine. And also food. Food was very important. I changed the way I ate, which helps, like, clear a lot of the symptoms, or systems inside me, clears them up, so I can be a better mom, so I can be a more relaxed person. You're getting enough nutrients. I call our bodies a meat suit. This is my meat suit, and I'm a soul inside of this meat suit, and I need to take care of my meat suit. If I you know if I water it, if I drink water enough every day, I drink 64 ounces of water a day. And and then food, eat low on the inflammatory foods, then I'm I'm ready. I'm set for what
mm,
comes, because life, goes like this, and it's just it always will. That's the vibration of life. And so, to get used to the ups and the downs, just make the downs not so far down. We have control over that. We can do that. Our own mental health and happiness is it to me. It's the most important thing.
Because I think a lot of people could hear that and say, when you're going through life's challenges, losing a son, how did this not completely take you out? You know?
Well, I had the support of my family. I mean, we were all suffering with it at the time. It was the pandemic. We were all together in the house. We were able to lean on each other, which is very sweet. And I really did. I turned to the things that inspired me before, which was books that I had read, about spirit, about creation, about life. My own belief that his death, that him dying, doesn't mean he's gone forever and ever, but
Mm,
that soul that was him lives on. That there's a non-physical place that is very close to me. I just can't see it. That he is. So that belief helps me. All my loved ones that I've lost, that's where they are, and I don't feel like I'm never gonna, be with that spirit again. I am, and it's going to be a spirit that's out of pain, and that is what
mm,
probably made it the easiest to know that through his passing, as he transitioned into non-physical, there is no more pain. There's no contrast there. It's here that the contrast is, and contrast is here so we can learn and grow and create. And non-physical, there's no contrast, so he's out of pain, and that
Mm.
brings me joy.
Mhm. Did your music help at all? I know, I mean, you tell a lot of stories through your music, but was your music therapeutic, or did it lead you to write anything or additional lyrics, or was there any impact on that?
Well, N- Um, I tell you what I did do. It was the pandemic, and I ended up going out to my garage, and I ended up building a studio because had to
Wait,
do
you built
some.
it yourself?
Yeah, we put it together. It's not a big studio, but it's a little thing, and I would call my sound man, and I'd say, okay, what do I have to do, and I hooked it all up, and we made it a streaming studio. And what we did during the whole pandemic for a year and a half, we streamed live 5 days a week, and I would 3 days a week I would sing. And I would sing my songs. Tuesdays was cover Tuesdays, and I would sing cover songs that I'd always loved to sing that I'd never sung or nobody had heard me sing, and that was very healing. That really the connection, to the subscribers, and every day would come on, and just getting these songs ready and singing them, very very healing. So that was a big
Mhm.
thing.
Do you think you'll ever write a song about it?
Yeah, yeah. I think I had to get away. I did the Broadway show I just did. I just came back from Broadway a couple months ago. I was out there about 3 months and did a show. It was my one woman show called My Window. And I really, the very end of it is about losing him. And
Mhm.
the whole show is me and how I kind of came to this sort of spiritual awakening, and about joy and life. And then my son died, and how I took everything that I knew and believed and was able to walk through it.
Mm.
So, but I'll write about it, I'm sure, in the future when
Mhm.
I'm not so close to it.
It takes time
Yeah.
to get to the point that you can express it through music.
Yeah. You just got to pull back a little bit when you're right up on it, you can't see it.
Mhm. How have your fans been there for you?
Oh.
'Cause I heard that, you have a foundation that you started in honor and memory of your son, but it was the fans who were actually a catalyst for that. So tell me more about that.
Yeah, well, I wanted to do something, uh and I wanted to change the world. I wanted to feel like I was contributing to something. And I truly believed, and I still do, I believe that if there was an alternative uh, treatment for him that was not just, abstaining and just don't do it, and that sort of thing. If there was something that could help his inner being, help his soul, help his own spirit find happiness, things that you find in plant medicine, more so than cannabis, but psilocybin, ayahuasca, ibogaine. These things are uh, plant medicines that have been around since the beginning of time and have been used for thousands of years for soul uh, study and soul exploration, and to explore our consciousness and sort of discover our meaning. And I believed in them so much, and I believed that if there was a legal way to get him into one of those, it might have given him a chance to find more and move through it. And when I discovered it's just that there is no research, there's no data on it, because in the 70s, Richard Nixon threw all the plant medicine, all the entheogens and psychedelics in with cocaine and heroin and all and they made them Schedule 1, which means they have no medical purpose and you can't even test on them. So when we come and say, what about this? They go, well, there's no testing. It's like, yeah, you won't let us test. It's the you can't get credit because you don't have credit thing. And I said, well, we've got to do something. We've got to find a way to do the research, and especially when it has to do with opioid addiction or just pain in general. And so we founded the Etheridge Foundation. I pulled together a board that believes, as I do, in this, and we have grown. And the
Mm,
fans, they connected. They gave so much. They contributed. They got it off the ground. We were able to hire a wonderful executive director that runs it, and she has found some amazing research that's going on in Spain. There's the Spain government. They have a program that gets their heroin users off of heroin, and they will provide methadone, which is just illegal heroin, and then basically you're addicted to methadone. And they want to know how they could get these patients then off of methadone. And
mm,
there is a root in Africa, and it's called iboga,
mm.
and it's made into ibogaine. Now, ibogaine is, I mean, if you, we've all kind of heard of ayahuasca. It's in the zeitgeist now. Iboga and ibogaine is even more intense. I've never done it. I've never been around it. But what these entheogens and plant medicines do is they hook into the part of our brains that are still hooked up to spirit, to DMT, and these
What do you mean by DMT?
DMT is what every living organism on the earth has. Plants have it, trees, animals. We have it in our pineal gland, which is in the back of our heads, and there are two times in our life when it is released, and that's at birth and at death.
Mm,
And there are plants that our own uh, digestive system has a thing that if you if DMT if you ingest DMT, it puts it right out of your body. But the ancient civilizations, they said that the spirits gave them, they told them, look, if you take this vine and this uh, leaf, we can, um, you can bypass the enzyme and you can feel the DMT. And it is known as the spirit molecule or the God particle, that it opens you up to understand. And it's hard to describe again because there's no, no words in this reality
so is
for
this
it.
one of the things that you are funding right now?
Yes, yes.
So
So
is these studies?
yes. So these studies put these patients. It's hard to find the right sort of patient. It's just really, it's very sensitive work, and they studied, and we provided the funds for them along with a couple of organizations like MAPS and ICEERS. These companies that have been doing this for a long time, and they the research already has proven that not only did it get these users off of methadone, but it got them off of smoking and 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 any other issues, and makes it just makes their life better. You see that life, it changes your outlook on life,
Mm,
and it helps with depression. Uh, um, Ayahuasca, known for getting people off of heroin. These things are, the people have sought them out in the jungle and have found relief. So let's do the research to find out why. There's a psilocybin research we are also funding in Madison, Wisconsin, at the University of Madison, which is amazing. And they're doing psilocybin studies on everything from end of life, hospice work, to depression, and they've agreed to work on opioid addiction with it also. And these places, the results are, they're just starting to come in, and they are just overwhelmingly
mhm,
positive.
mhm,
And I just hope that someday we can legalize these things and put them under uh, physician's care, or a someone who knows how to do this, and someone who can administer treatment and give people an alternative.
mhm. Because what you're feeling, Melissa, is that yes, we have standard medications and things like that, but let's have a spectrum of options for people, for
Yeah,
them to decide and to choose from. But if we don't have the research to show these things work or the side effects or anything like that, then
right.
how can we navigate this. So your foundation is coming in and saying, hey, these groundbreaking research that's happening, some, like you said, in Spain or in
Hmm.
Wisconsin, that you're looking at these to say, let's get the data.
Yeah.
And the hope is once you have the data that this could open a door.
Yeah. That's exactly what we're hoping.
You feel like we're close when you think about.
Yes. Yeah. It does move slow because, legally finding someone who's using opioids and then trying to, it's very hard to get around that. But we are finding ways. We are jumping through legal hoops. We are doing everything that we can, and just the little bit of research that's started to come back is so
Mhm.
hopeful that yes, and of course it won't be for everyone because this journey everyone has to take it when they're ready. But gosh, at least have the option.
How does doing this work help you every day in dealing with the loss of your son? I know you said you have your spiritual life and you know that he's still, you can't see him, but he's still there,
Mhm.
and his presence is still alive. But how does doing this work and knowing that you could potentially save another family
Mm.
from this heartbreak, how does that feel and make you keep going every day to keep pressing forward with the work that you're doing?
Because I know every day is an opportunity. Every day things change. I every day everything's working out for me. I can't get it wrong because I never get it done. There's always an opportunity to grow and become more. And boy, the Etheridge Foundation just gives me so much
Purpose.
hope. What's that? What
Purpose.
purpose? Purpose. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, purpose. I mean, I feel like I got a lot of purpose in life already,
You do with the
but
music. I mean,
yeah, yeah. So I'm doing okay with the purpose, but you know, just the hope and the hope for change and to really see like a big change in that and an understanding. I think us as a society are kind of saying, okay, we've done that hard way of work hard and you got to suffer to get what you want. Yeah, and we've tried that, and we're all having a big stress, epidemic. So maybe let's try something else. Let's bring a little bit more spirit into it without getting caught up in religion and all this stuff, but just the fact that we are spiritual beings having a human experience. Maybe we can all agree on that, and start from there.
Mhm. When you think about parents, who are out there right now, experiencing a loved one struggling as we wrap up the interview, what would be the thing that you would hope that someone had said to you?
Oh, huh. Wow. I don't know. There's not words don't teach, and sometimes just a hug, just a
Mm,
thing of like, hey,
you're
you
not
know,
alone.
you're not alone. I understand. I think the biggest realization that helped me was that God, there's no such thing as a perfect family, and we're not all here to be perfect. We're not all here to be right, and in this day and age of social media where we're all great in our little pictures, and just know that there's ups and downs in every single life, every family, and we're all just doing the best we can, and we're learning. And some of us have some big mountains to climb, but everybody's got their own mountains and hills. They just look different. So just approach every single human being with love and kindness and move from there.
And we still need to work on that stigma because I know you said
Yeah.
even when you were dealing with this, people have this idea, oh, maybe you weren't a good mom or maybe you didn't have a relationship with him. But then when they
Hmm.
hear your story, they see how you loved your son. They
Hmm.
see the relationship that you had with him. They see that he wanted to get better, right? That he
Oh yeah.
to.
Yeah,
And
nobody wants to die. They all want to get better, but sometimes
And
it
so we
doesn't
gotta work
happen.
on that stigma thing. Do you think
Yeah.
that's another thing that you would tell parents in
Yeah.
terms of not getting caught up on what everybody's gonna think? Because everybody's gonna have an
Yeah.
opinion, and everybody we see these
Woo.
highlight reels, as you mentioned, on social media, and we think everybody's life is perfect.
Yeah.
You know?
No, when the news of my son's death broke, and it was international news, and hundreds of thousands, millions of people were thinking that day, "Oh, her son died,"
Mm.
and judging or moving on and thinking how, they had no idea. They don't know me. They don't really know what happens. I understood then that, you know what other people think about me, none of my business. It's
Mm.
none of my business, and there's nothing I can do about it. I can only take care of myself. And boy, when you give up trying to be something for other people, that's real freedom. And that's health too. I would suggest really working on that.
Do you ever have any fears that any of your other children could struggle? Because I know addiction can run in families. Has that ever been something that crosses your mind as well, or what do you talk to your other
Um
kids about it?
oh gosh, yes. Yeah, we talk all the time, and my kids are really clear, especially seeing their brother, go through that. And like I said, you can see it how it started years ago. So none of my other children have that sort of issue at all in any way, and there's a real clear communication, and they have their own sense of self. I think that my son
Mm.
really lacked. So yeah, no, I don't worry about them at all. No.
But I'm glad that you guys are able to talk about it.
Oh
And this has
yeah.
been such an enlightening conversation with you. And I want to end with what's next for you. I know we love your music. We love, first of all, your transparency and your
Mm.
authenticity. It really feels like I'm sitting in your living room talking to you. That's how
Well, you're in my office, but
in
yeah,
your
yeah,
office,
okay,
Melissa.
yeah.
It feels like I'm in your office talking to you. But what's
Uh-huh.
next for you, and how can people not only support your music and what you're doing, but also
Mm.
the foundation? What do you need?
Oh well. First of all, I'm going on tour, and I can't wait to get back on stage and play with my band and get lost in my music. It's my beautiful, safe, loving place, and I love it so much. So, and I'm touring all over America. You can go to melissaetheridge.com and check out the tours. Hopefully, I'll come to your place. I'm also going down to Australia if you have any Australia listeners. So, and then I'll be writing all year, like what you said,
Mhm.
about rice. So there's probably something that's going to come up with this in it, and I'm going to I'm touring with Jewel. I'm
Mm.
doing some dates with the Avett Brothers. I'm also touring with the Indigo Girls, which is
Wow.
a lot of fun. So my whole year is going to be a lot of fun. And if you are interested in the Etheridge Foundation and what we're doing, go to etheridgefoundation.org. All the information's there, all the different studies that we're involved in, how you can contribute with money or anything else. We always take contributions because it goes straight to all this research. And it's etheridgefoundation.org, and all the information's there, and feel free to check it out.
And my final question, Melissa, people want to know, how are you doing? I know
Oh,
this has been a lot. I know, you've gone through a
hmm.
lot in these last few years. And I know you're still, like you said, it's still close,
Oh yeah,
it's still
yeah, it's
close, even though
close.
it's been a few years, it's still close to your heart. So people want to know how you're doing and
Yeah,
how
I'm
you
at peace. I'm
can.
good. I'm good. I'm happy. I
Ooh,
understand that my happiness is my own choice,
mm,
and it's not, life isn't happening to me, it's happening for me. And even losing my son has made me grow, has made me certainly love the rest of my family deeper,
mm,
and myself. So I'm know that I'm well, know
mm,
that I'm happy deeply, that
mm,
death is here. None of us are getting out of here alive. So just know that hopefully we all have long, healthy, beautiful, rich lives. But people come and go every day, and um and I think the belief again that non-physical is still with me, that's all those spirits are still a part of me, and the larger part of me is still connected there also.
mm.
So that brings me comfort. So know that I'm comforted, I'm at peace, and I'm happy.
Wow. What better way to end that? Well, thank you so much, Melissa, for taking time tonight And for all of you, I hope you'll go out and support what she's doing, whether it's a concert or the foundation, because you are truly making an impact on the world. And
I
we
think,
appreciate you so much.
thank you so much, Joy.
Okay, well, that's going to do it for another episode of Addiction Talk, everyone. Good night.